So today we're focusing on how to get customers from your email lists. If this is the first time you've been in a webinar with us, a couple things to note. First off, that's me on the left-hand side. My name is Jesse. I've been working in subscription commerce businesses for about 6 years now. Everything from vacations in boxes to farmers markets in boxes to the best organic small batch goodies in boxes. And nowadays I work with Subscription School. Subscription School powered by Cratejoy. Cratejoy is an awesome software that you can use to build any type of subscription business. I've built businesses from static sites using PayPal to Magento to WordPress, Chartify integrations, to Cratejoy sites, and my favorite one right now is Cratejoy, and that's why I love working with them, is because they've built an awesome tool. If you want to learn more about Cratejoy or Subscription School or me, there's a couple places you can go. Subscriptionschool.com is the best place to find information about Subscription School. To watch the recording of this webinar, you can go there into the video section. We record all of our webinars, and you can watch all of them and just listen to my voice for hours. Not that I would wish it upon any of you, but also check us out on Facebook. We have a private Facebook group, the Subscription School Facebook group. It's got about 1,500 business owners, and we all chat and help each other and help build our businesses and contribute to each other's success, which is awesome. And there's the Cratejoy knowledge base, and of course, there's cratejoy.com. If you're interested in starting a subscription business and you're looking for a great tool, I definitely suggest checking them out. Overview today. So today we're going to be looking at the types of email marketing, there's a couple different buckets I like to kind of bracket them off of in my mind that helps me determine how to prioritize email marketing, helps me set priorities on my teams. We're going to be looking at why email marketing is a key piece of the marketing puzzle in general. We'll be looking at some different options for email marketing platforms, why I use MailChimp. We're going to be working mainly through MailChimp today. I think that's probably one that most of you use. It's a pretty widely used one. It's my favorite because I've been using it for a long time, so I'm comfortable with it, but also for a couple other reasons, and we'll go through that today. And then also I'm going to give you a little challenge. I mean, if you've been in a webinar before, you know that we always leave you with some assignment to do, and today you're going to get one about email marketing. As we go through this webinar, if you have any questions about what we're covering, check out the GoToWebinar control panel on the right-hand side of your screen. That's where you can ask questions. So we're going to move pretty quickly, and if something is confusing to you, just leave a comment there. I might not jump on that question immediately, but we will have a Q&A session at the end of the webinar where I'll go through every person's question as in detail as I can. And so if you have to kind of wait, 15, 20 minutes, just hold tight. I do see your questions coming in. Okay, so like I mentioned before, when we say email marketing, what is it that we're talking about? Some of us might have different kind of preconceived notions going into this webinar, and as we leave the webinar, I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. There's three basic buckets that you can place emails in. The first bucket being transactional. Transactional emails are super boring. They're not what we're talking about today, although they are important, even though they're boring. I probably shouldn't say that, but they're probably not what you're thinking about right now when we think about email marketing. Transactional emails are action-triggered emails. So these are emails related to basic things happening within a subscriber account. So like signing up, shipping, canceling, canceling a shipment, a renewal notice, a renewal failure notice. These are emails that your organization is going to be sending out, but it's not necessarily with a kind of a promotional. It's not really a, I guess promotional way is one way of me saying it. It's not really a promotional type of email that you are saying to yourself, let's promote this deal, let's send out some transactional emails. That's a sentence that isn't said. These are just emails that are basically keeping expectations in line, updating people on the status of their account. It's more like those emails you get when you pay your credit card bill that says, hey, we received your payment. That's a transactional email. They're really important. And I'm going to do a poll about these later in the webinar. But what we're really interested in is the next two. There's these bulk marketing emails, which are promotional emails created by us and then sent to customers to encourage some specific sale or some specific action. These are done in like a one-off way, where it's like, we know we have a sale coming up on Tuesday, so we're going to send an email about that sale on Tuesday. The third type of email marketing really deals with kind of almost a mix between the first two. They're automations, drip campaigns, and things that we do to nurture our leads automatically without actually having to schedule emails in a one-off fashion like I just described. These can be marketing, it can be education-based, they can be based around maybe a specific program, like encouraging someone to use your referral program. You can have a whole drip campaign dedicated to that. It's a different type of email from a bulk email because it's pre-scheduled and predefined, but it's different from a transactional email since it doesn't have to do with something that's happening as a status of their account. So we're going to go into more detail about these latter two, the bulk marketing, the automated and drip campaign types of email marketing as we go through this, and we're actually going to go through and look at some examples of these things. So if it's not completely clear right now, worry not, it'll be clear soon. So let me first ask you guys something. I wanna find out how many of you attended our last webinar. So not talking about email marketing right now, but I'm just interested to find out how many of you, is this your first webinar with us, or or maybe were you with us before? And I'll look this up here for just a couple seconds. All right, I'll close this off here in about 5 seconds here. Someone asked, what was the topic? The topic of the last webinar was, I believe, fulfillment. Yep, it was managing fulfillment for subscription boxes. So that's when we had Chris Nikoloff in the email, or excuse me, in the webinar. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and close this poll. Since we just talked about transactional emails, I just want to ask you guys this too, while it's on the tip of our mind. Have you designed your transactional emails within Cratejoy, or if by chance you're not using Cratejoy, have you designed your transactional emails or spent any time looking at them? So like I said, these are like your renewal notice emails, your renewal failure emails. These are your shipment notice. There's a welcome email in Cratejoy that you could use, although you could also use a campaign in MailChimp for that. Have you spent any time looking at them? Yes, no, maybe so. And this actually isn't surprising. I'm going to go ahead and close this poll. I know that some of you guys might still be voting. A couple more seconds. Okay, closed. I'll share the results with you. I use this poll here because I think it's indicative of what everybody does. My answer would also be no / yes, only a few / they aren't fully done yet. Transactional emails, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on this topic, but there's something that I don't think a lot of us pay attention to, partly because it's almost like we expect it as a customer to be like a very plain, maybe even a plain text email versus a HTML email with the pictures. Although I would just say right now, like once you kind of equip yourself with some of the knowledge that we're talking about today, take the time to go back to your transactional emails within Cratejoy or whatever platform you're using, and make a note to customize those and make those look great. Because even though they are less exciting than the cool marketing emails that you can get into doing and get really good at, they are still a big part of customer experience and subscriber expectations around your product. So go back and look at those emails and take the lessons that you learned today and see how you can apply those to transactional emails. Okay, enough about transactional emails. A lot of people ask me this, and it's something it's pretty widely discussed, not only in our group, but just in discussion about other forms of marketing. People always like to compare, like, well, what's the best way to do it? What's the fastest thing? What's the biggest thing? Like, what's the most effective way you got customers? Like, that's always a question. And so it leaves us kind of tearing things out in our mind, right? Like, I should focus on A, B, and C first, and then D, E, and F. Email marketing. Why should we spend time on this? Like, let's actually look at this, and where does that fall in kind of the hierarchy of priorities around customer acquisition? Email marketing, I'll say right now, it can take a lot of time, especially in the beginning. That's because of like the work it requires to come up with the content, to come up with the graphics, to come up with the time and the patience to actually work through and build a good cohesive drip campaign. It can be a heavy lift early on, and then as you continue it, it becomes easier and easier to do, and requires less time since you have already done a bunch of things. You've got a bunch of assets that you build up over time that you can continue to reuse. But even with the work it requires, especially in setting it up, I really encourage all of you to make this a top 3 priority in your customer acquisition strategy. I think that this is basically number one, in my opinion. I think that if you were to do nothing else, email marketing would be your best friend. I think there are ways to get more customers than through email marketing, unless you're doing some like really aggressive lead generation. Um, uh, but in terms of the consistency of uh, outcomes, in terms of the kind of the reliability that provides you as a marketer, I think that email marketing is one of the most powerful tools and reliable tools that we can have when trying to squeeze customers out of something. And there's a couple different reasons here. The first is it's more effective than other free forms of marketing. Social media is something that if you've been in a webinar with me before, you already know that I like trumpet all the time. I'm always like, yeah, just spend hours on Instagram and you'll get customers. That's true, but when you look at the time spent on something like Instagram, and if you would have spent that much time on emailing, assuming that you had the list to email, you'll probably get more customers from the work you did on emailing. Social media, for example, is great for interactions and engagement and to get customers to do unique things and creating user-generated content around unboxing photos. But emails have a very specific purpose, right? Emails convert. Like we send an email out and people do something because we told them to do it in an email. So they're much more action driven, and because they're much more action driven, they can be more effective than other forms of more kind of nuanced engagement, like I said, with social media or something like that. You know, I wouldn't say you make a post on Facebook and you can expect a customer as confidently as I would say you can schedule an email to your newsletter list and expect a customer from that. So number 2 on this is it's economic. This was from what was the name of the poll? I can't remember the name of the poll. Sorry, but the real study here. This isn't a number I made up. It was a poll from 2013, and it was they basically queried a bunch of U.S. retailers and said, what's the best way, what's the most effective way in terms of cost to acquire more customers? And 85% of people said that email marketing was. If you think about it, it's just a matter of time commitment. There are kind of subscription costs and dues and subscriptions associated with the platforms and with the tools you use. You got to pay for graphics, you got to pay for stock photos, you got to pay for Mailchimp. But in terms of, like I said, kind of coming back to that reliability, it's not that much. It's not that much money for the amount of customers you can probably get from it, and so it seems one of the most economic ways to get customers. Not spending $3,000 on a Facebook ad campaign and just really hammering into your newsletter list. You might end up with much cheaper customers through your email methods. Number 3 is it's really easy to personalize it, keep it custom. When you personalize things, it really sticks out to people. It's a difficult kind of trade-off. Sometimes you want to acquire emails just asking people for people's emails. Sometimes you want to get their first and last name. Sometimes you want to get their zip code. I'm sure you've all been through an email sign-up form that asks you for different kind of levels of information. Depending on how much levels of information you're acquiring as a business, it's really easy for you to then include that personalization, to segment people out based on time zones, maybe, to segment people out based on their behaviors inside emails. It's a medium that you can take a look at your leads and the list of people you're emailing, and you can do some really intelligent things with it. Versus something like social media, where you make a post and you can't really speak to one person in that post. You can't really make a post on. You just can't. Not really. You couldn't make a post on Instagram, for example, that maybe is rolled out at different times depending on your time zone. You make that post and it's up regardless. It might be 4 p.m. West Coast, 6 p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. on the East Coast. That all goes up at the same time. So it's not as customizable. Whereas email is highly customizable. It's highly customizable, highly personable. And moving on from that, it's very action oriented. Like I said with the first point on here, we have very clear CTAs, right? We got very clear call to actions, and it's a very easy for you to see the path of a funnel through email marketing. You can see here, this person came on my list this date. They got sent this welcome email. 2 weeks after that, they got sent this other email. 3 weeks after that, they converted. I can see where people are converting in my chain. I know the messaging I'm sending them in each step of the way. I can see how many people are opening it and clicking things. It's just it's very action oriented, where you can be looking at the results and taking actions, where you can be looking at the parts of the funnel and taking actions on those things. And you can be, customizing your messages to make them as actionable as possible. Or like I said, with social media posts, it's a little bit harder to glean that insight. You still can. You can look at your engagement. You can look at the types of people who engaged with the post, but it just is not as actionable as what email can do for you. And kind of on that point, it's the fact that it's measurable, kind of what I was describing. You can look at open click-through rates, reply rates, unsubscribe rates, and those are just the tip of the iceberg. You can embed Google Analytics tracking links into your emails and track through those people through the unique UTM, and see what pages they hit on your website and where they went, and you give yourself a viewpoint from their inbox to your website to checking out. So it provides you with a very measurable medium where you can see what's really working there. And also, this last point is especially true for me personally. I mean, I am always on my iPhone. There's probably not a 5-minute period throughout the day that I don't reload my emails. It's a little bit depressing, actually, but the point is there. I mean, everybody's on their phone these days. It's high access to eyeballs because you can get an email to somebody and then be in their pocket. So if you're thinking about how to prioritize the content we're going to learn today, I would say put that priority at the top of your list. Put that right up there with being aggressive on press and being aggressive on social media. This is going to be definitely one of the top 3 ways that you're going to be acquiring customers and growing your business. Okay. So let me just see what kind of questions we've got brewing so far. Okay, looks like we've got a couple coming in. And so, like I said, if you just joined us, it looks like we got a new group of people too. So you probably joined mid sentence there. But if you do have questions, throw them in the GoToWebinar control panel, and we'll devote some time to answer each one of these. Okay, so step 1 here about email marketing is actually getting ready to do it. Okay, let's talk about actually how we're going to do this. Step 1 is choosing your platform. There are lots of different options. Where do you start? Here's a little list from Capterra. It's a little bit fuzzy. I blew it up a bit. That shows you a list of different people. I'm going to leave this up here. If you want to take a screenshot, if you're on Apple, it's Command-Shift-4, or if you're on Windows, I think it's like Control Print Screen or something like that. We got MailChimp, Instant Contact, Aweber, Emma, MadMimi. We have Intercom, GetResponse, ActiveCampaign, Campaign Monitor. Some of these I'm naming aren't even on this list. And this is kind of a nice way to split it across. At the end box there, responsive screen. I think MailChimp actually is responsive now, so that box should probably be checked. And they do have a certain number of templates, not like hundreds, as described with some of these other ones. But for the most part, they've got I think 15 or something like that, or maybe it's 10. They're pretty basic looking, but they got the drag and drop editor, which is really nice. So hopefully you're taking a screenshot of this if you want to investigate other options. Step 2, after you are getting into this, I would say, so number 1, create the MailChimp account. I use MailChimp, like I said, so I'm going to be referencing it a lot. But make a point to create an opt-in. And this is going to be, as you do implement some of the things we talk about today, if it takes you a couple days to do each point, that's totally fine. One of the things you want to do as early as possible is actually start gathering emails so you can start having a list to send to and be testing different things. So I encourage, even before you set up your welcome email, just get your opt-in set up. Make the point to do that so you can at least start to get some emails. It'd be best if you could do both at the same time, but I think this is a before you start type of step, where make sure you're getting yourself an account and you're getting yourself some way to actually gather these emails. Inside MailChimp, you're going to want to create a list called leads. We'll go over what a list is if that's confusing for you, and these slides will be available. So if you want to reference this again, or maybe take another screenshot. And then use something like SumoMe or Opt-in Monster to create an opt-in. That's what you see on the left-hand side here. This is it's a pop-up. I don't need to explain what a pop-up is. And you can install the opt-in on your CreateJoy store really easily. If you use SumoMe, it's super simple. It's in the App Store. If you use Opt-in Monster, it's the line of code you just paste. Super simple, and do that. So choose a provider, create an opt-in, and then you're ready to actually start going forward. You're going to start collecting leads, and you're going to be able to start marketing to those leads. So why use MailChimp? I think there are a few good reasons to use it, especially if you're a merchant with Cratejoy. It integrates with Cratejoy. So we've got some sweet stuff on there. It will trim your list, your active subscriber list. I think we've got a canceled subscriber integration through it too, where you can create a list for canceled subscribers. It's super simple to use. MailChimp is just easy. It's got the drag and drop designer. I think the UI is really nice. It's like really easy to click through to things. It's clear where campaigns are, where automations are. It's clear how workflows work, and the workflows are just automations. So I think it's a pretty easy tool. You don't have to be super tech savvy, no coding required type of thing. And that's what the next point is, the drag and drop templates, no coding required. You do not gotta be a developer to use this tool. Not that you have to be a developer to use a lot of the tools, but MailChimp is pretty easy in that respect. They have great insights and analytics. It's very easy to see your open rates, to compare different campaigns, to compare the success of different lists. And then glean understanding from that and actually be able to take action on what you're learning. And then the way that they have their automation and the drip campaigns, like I said, the workflows and the automations are just easy to work through. So let's dive in here. So what I want to do is actually jump into MailChimp here, and what you guys will see is the dashboard of my MailChimp. So in this section, there's a couple things I want to describe to you guys. Inside MailChimp here. So we have campaigns. Campaigns are the list of emails, these kind of those one-off campaigns that we talked about earlier, the bulk promotional emails. There are certain templates that you can design within MailChimp, so you can have a bunch of different types of templates that you can use in those campaigns or in automations. Lists, I'm going to be referencing lists a lot. These are just lists of emails, basically. These are the people that you're going to be emailing when you're creating a campaign. Under the reports section, this is where you can gather a bunch of data for things, look and see what happened, like why were things working so well, what was it about that campaign that worked so well, etc., etc. Automations, these are your drip campaigns or workflows, and this is where you can create a series of emails based on different things like timing and based on different kind of segments of a specific list. So this is just a short slide kind of describing some of the things that I just talked about, right? So lists are just lists of subscribers based on different attributes. So you can build a list for your canceled subscribers. You can build a list for your active subscribers. You could build a list for your lead list. You could build a list for your vendor partners even. You could build a list for your press partners. That kind of describes like all the different types of lists that you could have. Or give you an idea of how you could segment people out, and those are like infinite. If you can build a list around something, a specific audience, then do it. Automations, like I said, these are just emails that are sent out automatically, but are defined by you. You might have heard us say drip campaign already and lead nurturing. What those two things are is a drip campaign is a series of emails meant to encourage a specific action, just an automation. And lead nurturing refers to the act of building a relationship with your lead. It's important to understand the concept of lead nurturing in terms of automations and drip campaigns because they're really effective at nurturing your leads. If you, for example, have a newsletter, someone opts into your site, and you want to convert that person to a customer eventually, they type their little email into this little opt-in, you can predefine a series of emails like this educational welcome series here that we can see that we've developed. If you're on the Subscription School newsletter, you've received these emails, and I can send you a welcome email. 6 days after that, I can give you some tools. 10 days after that, I can give you some success stories, and 10 days after that, I can ask you what's holding you back from launching. And I can send you all of those emails on specific days based on when you signed up without me ever having to do anything again. That really makes you feel like a nurtured lead. Right, you're constantly reminded of Subscription School. Each email is different and provides some other unique piece of value for you. It helps encourage a good relationship because Subscription School is developing content that you actually want in your inbox, and it's helping you, remember us. It's all about staying top of mind for your product or your service or for your education, whatever it is you're working on, and lead nurturing through drip campaigns is one of the best ways to do that. And then campaigns here are just those one-off promotional kind of bulk emails that we were talking about earlier. I have a note here, see the ebook. So if you look on the right-hand side of your GoToWebinar control panel, you'll see a handout section. Under the handouts, you will be able to download, it's called the Essentials of Email Marketing. It's a short little PDF about when are good send times, and I'll show you here, zoom out a little bit. This is what the ebook looks like, and it includes, some core concepts thing here, a little note about canned spam, some best practices around automation, some best practices around growing your list, some different ideas for pop-ups, that type of thing. So read this. It's definitely got some good information here. Probably one of the best ones is the timing slide, where we look at different days of the week and what's most effective and what time of day and which day is the best day to email. And should give you some good directions when you're trying to decide, basically, when do I want to be sending my campaigns, or how do I want to be developing my automations. That ebook can give you some good direction. I will say right now that the results are highly dependent on what works with your audience and what works with your target set of customers. We have 3 emails we're going to analyze today, and one of these emails might work really well for one type of person, whereas another email might work better for a different type of person. So just keep that in mind. Like, as you're looking at this stuff, it's not really like a one-size-fits-all with email marketing. In fact, it's not like that at all. I've actually seen totally different levels of success after modeling email campaigns, after reading some like sweet like HubSpot post like, the #1 best way to have this email marketing campaign is like this, and I'll go do it, and I get different results. So while you're looking at these emails we're about to dissect, and while you're reading that ebook, just keep in mind, like, the #1 thing that you can be doing that's smart as an email marketer is testing and paying attention to your tests. If you create campaigns and you're segmenting out your campaigns on your different lists, based on what attributes you think are important, and you want to test something like maybe button color or the subject line, like, that's something that you want to pay really close attention to. You don't want to test all those things at once. Test a subject line and then test a color in your next email and then test a call to action, etc., etc. If you change too much in a single email campaign from one campaign to the next, it's very difficult to glean what was working and what wasn't working. So, keep that in mind when you're reading over this material. It should be reactionary based on what works with your subscribers. Okay, so let's look at some different emails. To build an email inside MailChimp, you would you'd be at your dashboard, right? You would click campaigns, or you can just go right there to the right hand. You go to create campaign. It's a pretty simple walkthrough with MailChimp to create one of these campaigns. You'll choose regular campaign. There are some other options here, but we won't go into those today since we have limited time. But I definitely encourage you reading about them, especially the A/B testing campaign. That one's really important. But let's, for now, we're just going to do a regular campaign. So select that. After you select that, you're going to do a couple things, from choosing your list to choosing your subject line and some of the basic things around setup to maybe opting into using one of their templates or designing it yourself, and then confirming and or scheduling out an email. So we'll take our list. We're going to send it to the Jesse test list. In the next screen, we have the setup. So you'll want to do a couple things here. For the campaign name, make sure it's something that you'll know what it is for. So maybe like, subscription school, webinar follow-up. And today's August 11th, which I cannot believe. And then, for your email subject line, this is one of the points here where I always get really cautious about the advice I give out, because, like I said, it doesn't always work the same for everybody. For email subject lines, I think the most effective subject lines that I've seen for email marketing are subject lines that actually have to do with the content that's inside the email. So let's just say we were doing a webinar follow-up for this webinar. Maybe the email subject line was, what did you think of the email marketing webinar? So conversational. For those of you who are attending, it'll make sense to why you're receiving this email. It might pique your interest and say, hey, yeah, I heard that webinar with Jesse. Like, actually, I wanted to give him some feedback. Like, that one piece of advice he gave me was really rubbish. Or, wow, that was great. This worked really well for me. So I think those are generally the best email subject lines from my experience. It's something that's going to actually involve the content of the email, like versus just saying, last chance, open now. Like, that doesn't really say anything about the type of email. It might feel like it's compelling because it's in all caps and it's telling, it's got a sense of urgency in it. But, saying something like, instead of like open now, so last chance, here's a 15% off coupon for August's box. People see that email subject line and they'll know what's inside the email. And so if they actually want to take you up on that offer, they'll do that. And they'll click it open and they'll click through it and they'll actually check out. So email subject lines, do lots of testing with this. MailChimp actually has a cool little prompt here where you can do the subject line researcher. And there is some performance that'll pull from your history so you can see what's been working best and what hasn't been working. And so, play around through subject lines. This is something fun to split too, is to take the same group of people, test two different subject lines, see which ones perform better. For your from name, that's just who's sending it. This can either be your name. Sometimes people will say that having it be Jesse, from Subscription School is much more effective from just saying Subscription School. So that's another thing to test, is how personalized you want the from name to be. Do you want it to be your name or do you want it to be your organization? For example, my subscription business right now is called Prosperly, so it could be, Prosperly. Maybe it's the Prosperly team. Maybe the Prosperly family. Maybe it's Jesse from Prosperly. So there's some different things that you could go there. A really important here, make sure you've got a good from address that people can actually reply to the email and actually read someone. Don't just make it some random email. And they've got some cool tracking options here too. I won't go into too much detail about this. I know we're kind of lagging on this page here. But you want to track opens, you want to track clicks. If you've got Google Analytics set up, set up that integration. You can have some social media auto tweeting after it's been sent. E-commerce tracking can be really useful. It's a little bit more sophisticated than what we're going over today, but there are some things that you can do in the setup for a MailChimp campaign that can give you a lot more data and insight to the performance of your email than just sending out a random email and kind of just looking at your inbox waiting for a sale to come through. Once you've got that setup complete, you get into the template section. Oh, it's not going to let me do it. What did you think of the webinar? Okay, let's go forward. When you're choosing a template through MailChimp, they've got a bunch of basic setup templates, or you can actually go to their themes, and they'll actually be you can see how these are designed. They're designed a unique way. You can use one of these, or if you've got saved templates, you can always use one of those. So let's just use one of these random templates and select that. Now, when you're playing within MailChimp and you're trying to decide what it is you want to have your email look like, there's like I said, a lot of testing that you can do here. We've done some testing at Subscription School and kind of ended up on these designs being more effective than our last designs. For example, this one's our welcome email. So if you sign up to our newsletter, this is what you get. You get a hello, you join the newsletter, a couple bullet points of what you can expect, some quick links to open up some guides that usually are the most useful for us, some social media stuff, a call to action to use Cratejoy, et cetera, et cetera. So it's this is where you're going to get really creative, right? This is where you're going to find out what's working and what's not working. If you're wondering right now, hey, well, Jesse, what does work and what doesn't work? Can you give us some sense of what that actually is? Let's look at it. Let's dissect a couple of emails that have performed really well from big marketers. So, and let me just hop into the questions here. Okay, let's see. We got a couple coming through, and sweet, you guys look like you've got some good questions. So we're going to power through this, and then we'll get to this. So hold tight, guys and girls. Good example number one is PayPal, and so PayPal was founded 2.5 decades ago. Elon Musk, actually, I believe, was one of the original founders, or his he had significant ownership in the company when it was founded. Anyways, enough about Tesla. Um, Everybody knows what my point is with that little anecdote is that everybody knows what PayPal is for. It's like we were sending money through PayPal long before there was any payment processors like like Venmo or Cash App or those types of things that we now use. And it's like really easy for us to send cash anywhere we want through apps on our smartphones or through other websites. PayPal is like a dinosaur almost, right? Like it's just one of those things that we've like always. Everybody knows about it. You're not supposed to buy shady stuff from people through PayPal. I think this was a really effective email from them for a couple different reasons. So PayPal's a payment processing service, right? Everybody knows about it. But look how they're marketing themselves here. What they're marketing right here on the right-hand side is really just their core competency. Number one, take a look at the email design. Pretty simple. Lots of white space. Nothing too crazy in the design. We've got a pretty cool visual example in the bottom half. But besides that, it's a very simple email. We're looking at like 2 or 3 sentences of copy, a short little picture, and then a couple call to actions. But let's really sit there and analyze what it is they're doing right here. So PayPal, good food, good friends, good way to split the bill. And the copy reads this, and I thought it was kind of clever copy too. Forget IOUs. You can easily send money instantly with PayPal. All you need is your friend's PayPal email address or mobile phone number to settle up right at the table. And then the call to action is to learn about sending and receiving money. And the call to action on the bottom is also learn about sending and receiving money. And the copy in the middle is use the PayPal app to send money in 3 simple ways. Choose send money in the PayPal app into the recipient's email and then into the amount and click send. What they're selling us right now is nothing revolutionary. This is not some brand new product of theirs. This is not some special promotion of theirs. This is just telling their email users, or they're just promoting their core competency through the newsletter, but they're doing it in a good way. Like I just think that the whole angle coming at it from, hey, everybody's been in the situation where they've been at a table with 4 or 5 friends and they've got to split the bill, and it's like, hey, do we want to put it on one card or do we want to split it? And the waitress is like, oh my gosh, please don't give me 5 credit cards. That kind of angle from like personalizing it with something that actually happens in real life makes it feel like a compelling message versus send money through our online app that's been around since 1998 or however long it's been around. And so I thought that was effective. So take a look at this. Like, what stands out to you? Like, I love the visual example. It shows you how easy it is to use it in the app. It still sounds like it's easier to use Cash App or Venmo to me, but I think they're doing a good job at trying to make that appear easy. I think the minimalist kind of vibe of this email is great. I think white space is like a hugely powerful and widely used type of kind of branding in email campaigns these days, and I think it's because it allows you to just focus on your call to action and focus on the message you have for your newsletter recipient. And I think that they kind of show you how this can be. Like, look at the blue buttons. There's like nice big blue buttons. The only blue we see in this is the PayPal logo, the call to action buttons, and the blue that's inside the app, and the kind of the 1, 2, and the 3. Like, it's very visually driven. Like, we can see exactly what we're supposed to be looking at and what we're supposed to be doing. And like I said, I think they have very clear CTAs. Learn about sending and receiving money. Personally, I would have changed that CTA. I would have changed it to download the app from the App Store and had a link directly to the App Store. Because we know what my assumption would be is they emailed this to people who already have PayPal accounts. That's how they got their email, right? So I would have, if I was an email marketer here, I would have said, hey, instead of saying learn about sending and receiving money, let's just put a direct download app to the iTunes App Store, and people click it and they immediately start downloading. But either way, it's a clear CTA. We know what they want us to do. And I like how they inverted the button colors for the CTA there. I thought that was kind of nice. Okay, good example number 2. Let's look at another example that's not PayPal. So Litmus is actually an email tool. It allows you to create web-based versions of emails. So they had a cool email here because I thought of a couple different reasons. Number one, up at the top, it's a super clear value. Like, I open this email and I understand why I'm reading the email. Share emails and inspect code. Okay. Ever wish for an easier way to share emails? Yes, I did. Tried in vain to see how that response design worked under the hood? Yes. Oh, now I can. Perfect. I have this pulled up here in a separate browser window so you can see the animated GIF. this is really cool. I love animated GIFs in emails, and I was going to bring you guys a resource, but I forgot to pull one up. But putting animated GIFs in emails, I think, is a really clever and unique way to kind of bring back some engagement to a medium that's kind of boring for people. I mean, email is kind of a boring medium. It's not as cool as like making a Snapchat video. And because of that, animated GIFs can be pretty useful. Every couple of years, people think that animated GIFs are going to die, and then people start using them all over again. So this is a good example of using one effectively. It grabs my attention. It actually illustrates what it's saying it's doing. So that's the email, and then it scrolls back, and it's like, look, we'll show you the code. Wow. And so it's like, I think they did a good job at actually using an animated GIF that makes sense. Outside of that, clear CTAs, learn more, get Scope for free. They had a couple cool incentives in here too. So they have this for free incentive. Then they have this win a 1 year plus membership incentive at the bottom. For the purpose of this email was being sent, I thought it was they just did a good job at like keeping the interest in the topic. Like, you want to learn more about the tool, then you can get it for free. That's great. While I'm getting it for free, maybe I can even win a membership. So it was like a very useful and linear form of kind of reason that kind of carried with us as we worked through the email. And for that reason, I thought it was a good one. And you can see here too, it's a kind of a minimalist design. Like, you don't have to be making crazy, really difficult designs in your emails. They can be very simple. There's no reason for them to be like, the background to be some crazy background pattern, and like, you don't have to do like a bunch of crazy coding stuff. It can be an image at the top, a short bit of content, and a picture and a call to action, that type of thing. And I think this kind of shows it nicely too. So ask yourself, kind of like, what stands out to you here? What looked great, and why does it sing? Why do you think that this was effective? Let's pick apart one more of these things, and we'll go into your questions and start to really dig into what you guys are thinking. Good example number 3 here is Bonobos. They want to sell us some shorts. So this guy sitting in his blue chair, looking like he's having the time of his life, with his glasses off in his hand. How do they sell us these shorts? Number one, talk about like a nice, perfect, clear, like you wear these shorts while you're in the Bahamas or wherever this guy is with these white sandy beaches. It captures the essence of where we want to be wearing our shorts very well. Overall, it's another very simple design, and I like that about this email. This would be really responsive in mobile. It'd be nice because it would kind of chunk down these sizes here. It has a little bit of urgency. Last day, the incentive, 25% off your shorts. Use code SHORTS25. But also, what I thought was really cool are these clickable sizes. So it's like Bonobos knows that I want to buy shorts, and then they make it really easy for me to find the shorts that they can sell me. And I can say, okay, let me choose my waist size 30. And I click that, and it's going to bring me to a product page that is exactly where I want to be. And I thought that was a clever way of doing it. A kind of a way that you could translate this for subscription boxes would be, last day for August boxes, get 15% off all boxes, and then maybe you have your mini, your normal, and your luxe version boxes, or your gluten-free, your vegan, your paleo, and your regular boxes. And they can just click those images and go to those product pages and see exactly what they're going to buy. And you can kind of present those multiple products in one single simple way. I thought that was a cool way of doing that. They have a cute, a really simple little header, little menu here. New pants, shirts, tailored. So if you're not looking for shorts, they're giving you an option to click away to some other types of things. And then, like I said, another simple footer. It's not crazy. It's not crazy heavily designed. I think that all 3 of these emails were effective for different reasons, right? We have a dinosaur being clever with how they're marketing their core competency. We have a denser topic that's keeping us interested by using cool things like animated GIFs and having great incentives. And then we have a clothing company that's making it really easy for us to find something that's highly customized, our clothing size. So each one of these companies did a good job at doing having an email that worked best for them. So the trick here is going to be looking at your campaigns and determining, what is it that's going to work great for my subscription business. Is it a highly customizable subscription, and does it make sense to have an email more like bonobos, or is it a, you have one box and you have one size and everybody knows your core competency? And is it a matter of just coming up with a unique way of pitching that, or is it something else? Whatever it is, at this point, we've talked about MailChimp. We talked about the other services you can use. We talked about how to gather some leads, some basic ways. You've got the ebook that will kind of detail some different ways to get people opting into your newsletter. We've talked about kind of the basics of how to navigate MailChimp and what's useful and what's not useful, or what can be none that's not useful, but what's more complicated. And we've looked at a couple different emails that have been successful at what they were trying to do. So at this point, you should have a stronger understanding of how do I go about actually converting people on my list. And that kind of leads us to our Shia LaBeouf slide. Just do it. Start getting some chops down with email marketing. Like I said, it's highly dependent on your audience. And the only way that you can really learn of what's working is to actually start testing things. So it's August 11th. On August 18th, you should have a dedicated MailChimp or marketing account, some provider. Set up some basic stuff. I want you to set up your lists, your leads list, your canceled list, your active subscriber list, your vendor list, your press list, whatever list you have. Set up your basic lists. Create a welcome email in your automation section. So go into your MailChimp. Go to automations. Create an automation. When you create that automation, you choose the list you want it to be sent to. Whether it's your leads list or your canceled subscriber list, or I guess it would be your leads list since we're talking about a welcome email. Set up that welcome email so when people opt into your newsletter, they're going to be receiving something. Try to schedule a campaign, like a bulk promotional campaign to your entire lists. Maybe it's a call to action to come back to your canceled subscribers or something else. And also in that time, make sure you pay attention where your traffic and where your signups are coming from. And try to determine where my emails coming from mainly. We discussed slightly in this ebook, there's a couple different suggestions for growing your lists. You got the opt-ins, you got exit intent pop-ups, you got CTAs and offers on your site, you got cross promotions you can do on social media. Try to determine where that's coming from, and what's really serving as the best medium for finding new email subscribers. So that said, I want to do one thing really quick. I want to ask you guys two questions. So number one, are you currently sending marketing emails? Okay, I'll leave you guys a couple more seconds. Alright, now let me close this poll, and I'll share these results with you. So it looks like a lot of you should have a lot of places to start. Half of you haven't sent out any marketing emails. So you guys should definitely have something to do after this webinar. In fact, I would send one out today. Or if not send out one today, design it, schedule it for tomorrow morning or Saturday morning. Definitely make a point to start sending these out, because this is how you're going to get a lot of customers. I can guarantee it. One more question. I want to find out, kind of with what we've talked about now, we understand a couple different elements of email marketing. I want to find out what's the hardest part for you currently. Oh, hit close on that a little bit early. Sorry about that if you were mid voting. We got most of you guys voted, but I saw that some of you were still clicking around. So it looks like it's actually pretty even split. It's just a matter of, it looks like design, setting up mailing lists, and understanding insights. I'm going to touch on a couple of these things right here because I want to make sure that we understand each one of these things. I'm gonna come back to the results on that poll after we get done with this Q&A. So let's jump in with these questions. First question is from Walter. I'm having issues with referrals. Please cover a drip campaign for that. Okay, Walter. So referrals. If you're talking about like having like a referral, like a referral program with your subscription box, I think number one, I would say this. Realize that email drip campaigns for it can be useful, but it's only one piece of the puzzle. For example, I have call to actions on my packing list printed onto my box, and I send emails about my referral campaign. It's very much a large part of the customer experience, and that's what makes those things effective. So make sure you're hitting them from a lot of different angles. For a drip campaign about with referrals, I would suggest a couple different things. Number one, determine when in the subscriber kind of lifetime you think it's appropriate to start having them push referrals. For example, I would imagine if someone's only going to be comfortable referring somebody else once they've actually received a product. So maybe in your automation email for referrals, the first email starts 30 days after they've signed up, or 30 days after they've been added to your active subscriber email list. So you know that they've received a box by the time they get their first email that says, refer a friend, get a free box, or whatever it is your program rewards them with. Maybe it's a free bonus item or whatever it might be. With that, I think that generally with each type of automation you set up, whether it's focused on referrals or not, give at least 4 to 7 days between emails about it, because you don't want to appear spammy, and especially if you're doing other marketing emails, you just don't want to have a lot of overlap, and that might happen sometimes when you are you have automations running and you're doing promotional emails. You just want to avoid hitting someone with an email twice in one day. So kind of determine how you want to time it out for your own business. But the follow-up emails would be, I think number 2 would be, it'd be great if you could somehow update them on their progress. Something that says like, maybe it's not a direct integration with a referral program, but it says, check your status. Maybe the subject line is, you've almost earned a free box. And inside the email, it's a call to action with a button that clicks through to the login page for your business, and they can click through with login and then really quickly see where they're at in the referral program. It'd be great if you could intelligently pull how many people they've actually referred. So, for example, if it's for every 3 referrals they get a free box, if they've actually referred 2 people, it actually could say you've referred 2 out of 3 people. That'd be awesome. But if not, some type of subject line like that, like check your progress or you're almost there, something like that. The 3rd or 4th email that you could start to push out through that, I think would be kind of similar in nature. You want to slightly remind them about it. Like maybe one of them would be a report on, say, over 50 people redeemed their free boxes this month. Why haven't you? That type of message. And maybe it's like a picture of someone with their free box. They said, oh my gosh, Walter sent me a free box this month. Look how happy I am. Something like that. And the 4th one, it's kind of just a reiteration of that. Maybe it's another reminder that says, hey, don't forget to use a referral program, or hey, here's your unique referral link in case you lost it, or hey, you can get your next your next box is going to have roughly this value in it. Make sure you get a referral and you can get it all for free. You can play around with the different types of messaging. I think mainly, though, set it up after they've received a box. Get them actively thinking about how close they are, how awesome it would be to win, and how you can continue that messaging throughout the customer's lifetime. Like I said, the packing lists, that type of thing. Okay. So Nathaniel said, and I think this is in transactional emails, please put signatures and face shots on all of them, but I would love it if we get these in MailChimp to fully brand them. Yeah, Nathaniel, you could pull in some of those things into MailChimp, like the welcome email and that automation. The other transactional emails might require a little bit more work on your part to do something like that. And it wouldn't be impossible, but you can actually design them pretty nicely in Cratejoy. It's a little bit harder since it's not a drag and drop editor. It's a you got to hard code it, but you might be able to customize them a bit more. Nathaniel says, have you been able to get Analytics 360 to work with MailChimp and Creator without special dev work? Is that part of the enhanced e-commerce suite? I'm able to see in my MailChimp conversions in Google Analytics, but in MailChimp I see nothing in 360. I haven't set that up yet, so I'm not really sure how to answer that. I don't, if you want it communicating in more sophisticated ways than just the way you see it in your normal analytics, where they come in through UTM and you can see what pages they hit and their bounce rate, and if you've got goals associated with that, the goal rate and the conversion and the dollar value. If you're looking for something that's more sophisticated than that, it probably would require special dev work, but the basic level of it should be able to give you quite a bit of information. Depending on how you have your Google Analytics set up, if there's goal tracking, that type of thing. But like I said, I actually haven't done that inside Mailchimp, so I'm not sure how it spits it back out for 360. So Nicole asks, what's split testing? Split testing is taking taking an email that you're sending into a list and making a small change on the email, and then having that automatically send the two different versions to the same list, and it to track those things uniquely. So for example, if you were to A/B test maybe the subject line, everything else in the email stay the same, but you could split test it within the same list by using MailChimp, and you could see which one performed better. And you could, side by side, look at the analytics of this did this and this did that. So split testing, it can be used for email campaigns. It can be used on websites. You can A/B test web pages. And basically what it does is it serves up a unique example for each person who opens the email. Not a complete unique, but as many split tests as you have defined. So like I said, one example would be a different subject line. Maybe another example would be the same subject line as the last one, but with a different button on the call to action inside the email. And then, like I said, I'll put all that data right next to each other so you can see what worked best. Brianna asks, is this being recorded? Oh, yep, sure will be. It'll be in the video section of Subscription School. Why do you make different lists instead of segments? Is there a point where you want to differentiate enough to make a new list? Yeah, absolutely, Nathaniel. So for example, I think that making more lists is totally common. You're going to have a list, for example, of active subscribers. Rather than having a list of subscribers and then having those segmented out by active and canceled within the same list, I would just suggest creating completely unique lists for those, because then you could segment them out even further. You can say, okay, here's my active and here's my canceled list. Here are the different segments based on those actions that they had during the last email campaign. Like, I want to email my canceled list, but I want to target the people who haven't opened any of my 5 last campaigns. The segmenting and the granularity that you can get top level from having your types of newsletter subscribers already segmented out in the beginning with broad categorizations like active, canceled, potential. That'll give you more flexibility when you're actually segmenting things out. The segmenting in email lists aren't, I think, as not so much about the status as what we're talking about with subscription boxes, like segmenting people out by the active or canceled status in their account. The segments are more used for how they're interacting with your email campaigns themselves. Like I said, have they opened up any of the last emails? Did they click through any of the last emails? Like segmenting things like that. So for example, let me just show you really quick what I mean by that. And I know we're going a bit over, but I'm gonna keep doing this so we can get through all these questions. So we take our list, right? And we can see here, we can send to the entire list, send to a saved segment, which could be something, or send to a new segment. So you can see here the segments that you can really choose inside of a list isn't, it isn't really defined by, something like subscription status. You probably could integrate and have a really sophisticated list management tool where you're making sure that people are kind of falling in the right buckets. But a lot of the subscriber data and how you're segmenting people is based on something that they're interacting with the emails, like campaign activity. I'm segmenting people based on whether they did not open any of the last 5 campaigns, and the date it added was they joined after August 1st. and let's do 2015. And that's how we're finding these recipients in this through that form of segmenting. I think that's how segmenting is more often used versus using having one giant list for subscribers and then saving to a save segment active subscribers for safety concerns of just making sure that people are in the right buckets. I would just separate those lists out and have those lists automatically updated and then trimming those things individually than having segments within one list and kind of wondering like, man, I really hope this new save segment has updated recently. So that's hopefully the answer you're looking for. Kelly Bauer says, all these features are part of MailChimp regular service or the $1.99 a month pro? These are all regular service. Nicole says, I have a 2-month-long pre-launch campaign so that we can generate a good amount of emails. What do you suggest for topics to discuss prior to the pre-launch? We have a welcome email and a sneak peek. I would say welcome email, sneak peek, those are both good ones. Update from the team, sneak peek of packaging, maybe a kind of a countdown. 2 weeks left, 1 week left, 5 days left, 3 days left, launches tomorrow, those types of things. I would say try to at least send out one email a week when you're doing your pre-launch. Vijoy asks, for emails, how frequent is too frequent? What's not frequent enough? Well, Vijoy, I would say what's not frequent enough is like 3 months. Like if you don't email someone for like a 2, 3, 4, 5 month period, they're probably going to forget about how they even got on your list, and that's going to really decrease open rates and really decrease click-through rates, that type of thing. I think if you email too much, and I'm thinking like maybe 3 to 4 times a week is too much, then you run the risk of kind of a similar thing where people are just kind of get burned out by your messaging and burned out by the deals you're offering. I would say you want to email once or twice a week, a couple days apart. I usually do Tuesdays and Saturdays. Tuesday I feel like is the day that we are all kind of getting used to our work week happening again, but we're still kind of slightly, wishing it was the weekend. So when you get an email on Tuesday morning with an offer, you're like, you know what? This is what I want to do. It makes me feel like I'm spending money on the weekend. And then Saturday I send one out early in the morning because some people do their budgeting on Saturdays. For people who aren't obsessed with their phone like me, they're probably checking their emails on Saturday morning. So I usually do twice a week. I think that's a kind of a good baseline from what I've read. About that frequency can be good. But like I said, it totally depends. It totally depends on your subscribers. I get emails every single day from, who do I get emails every single day from? Like Redfin or Zillow. Like if I'm looking at, I was looking at a house, and so I was getting emails every single day with updates from them with new properties, and that wasn't spammy to me. That's what I wanted to receive, those emails. So I wouldn't say, like I said, there's a one-size-fits-all here. It really depends on what's the subject of your newsletter. When people opted into that newsletter, what were they expecting to receive? And that kind of try to decide based on those curriculum. Victoria asks, hey Jesse, I'm in the process of planning my pre-launch. What sort of email should I be sending to people leading up to the launch? I think we just answered that question, actually. But welcome email, sneak peek of packaging, update from the road, countdown emails, maybe a poll, saying, hey, what do you want to see in your first box? And you have a link to a type form or something like that, or a SurveyMonkey form. Dina says, any guidelines to the right number of emails per month or per week? So I think we kind of just went over that too. Like I said, 2 emails a week for sales feels pretty good to me. No less than 1 email every other week, I would say. So you kind of make sure that they always remember who you are. Nathaniel says, how do you manage to make referral drip not annoying to those people who have referred, as CJ does not have any referral data integrated with MailChimp? That's a great question, Nathaniel. So he's basically saying, hey, I want to make a drip campaign. How do I make sure that I'm not being spammy through that, especially if the person's being active with it? There's one way you could do it, Nathaniel, and you're not going to like me. Export or determine who your top referrals are, your referrers. Referrers, I guess would be the word. Download the list of people who are referring the most customers, and then manually trim them from your list. So you go into your list in MailChimp, and you go to, okay, I'm going to my, I'm going to my referral list. Let's just say this is my referral list. Manage subscribers, unsubscribe addresses, and I'm going to unsubscribe my top referral person, Jesse at Cratejoy, because I know that Jesse at Cratejoy is always referring people. Like I don't need to keep reminding Jesse about it. And so manually trimming your list would be one way of doing it. It's a painstaking way of doing it. But unless you can work with the support team here at Cratejoy, or you can get a good developer who uses like a tool like Zapier or something that's going to be able to kind of manage that data for you. Manually is usually the easiest way to do it. I'm trying to think of anything else off the top of my head. How else could you easily do that? With Cratejoy, one of the nice things about Cratejoy is that they're always working on new stuff like that. So it'd be something I would even expect for the future. But other than that, I don't think there's really any easy way besides just manually doing it. So with so many lists, how do you keep them updated? Is there an auto update from new subscribers to each list? Yeah, with Cratejoy there is. So there are lots of tools that you can use to auto update lists. One of them I just mentioned, and Zapier is one of these things. So you can use Zapier to connect different apps that you use. One of them being email. So let's just see here, Zapier, MailChimp. So you can use different tools to kind of manage your lists for you. So maybe for example, Nicole, you are these are some good examples right here too. So let's say you have a Typeform, right? And you want to have your Typeform auto update the people who are filling out the survey thing during your pre-launch campaign. So you can, you integrate Typeform with MailChimp and Zapier, and then when people finish this Typeform, it'll automatically add it to your MailChimp list or something like that. That makes it easy, so you don't have to keep on going to Typeform. You don't have to go to Typeform, export your CSV, upload your CSV to MailChimp, and manually trim it like that. You won't have to do that anymore. This thing will just automatically do it for you. Looks like they have hundreds MailChimp integrations for different apps that you might be gathering leads from, or different ways you want to manage those leads. So this is a good example right here. So add new GoToWebinar registrants to MailChimp as new subscribers. This Zapier right here, so for all of you who registered for the webinar today, if I had set this up with MailChimp and Zapier, I would have had a whole new list automatically created within MailChimp, automatically updated with your guys' information. And then I don't have to go to GoToWebinar, I don't have to export that attendee list, and I don't have to manually upload that list and then trim it and do whatever else I need with it. And then it's easy, within MailChimp to trim that list, to unsubscribe people or give people the option to subscribe and that type of thing. So with so many lists, how do you keep them updated? That's one way of doing it, is find a great tool that integrates with a bunch of different things that can take actions for you. Otherwise, it is a big matter of manually doing it. Manually watching your canceled subscribers, your expired accounts through Cratejoy. That's something that might require a little bit more manual work. If you want to really highly segment people and have different lists with very specific interests, you'll create work for yourself. But like I said, the more work you spend kind of up front, it's a lot of work early on with email marketing, but if you have very specific segments of people and you know the messages you want to send those people, that's what's going to be effective in a campaign. And that's what's going to encourage people to click through and actually buy something, and that's what makes it a cost-effective, action-oriented type of marketing tool, is because you know that this segment of this list of people who it might be a little bit of a pain in the butt to manage, you know exactly what you need to say to them in order for them to make a purchase. If you guys want to look at one other example, I thought this was another cool example of an effective email. This is a J Crew Factory email. I thought it was kind of a funny one where you can kind of use humor in it, where if your wrapping looks like this, you may want to get them a gift card. Just another idea for an effective email that it kind of pulls on something that's relatable and actually is kind of interesting and funny for people as a consumer. I would definitely encourage you guys to go around, look around for effective emails. There's a lot of articles that are written about them, and see what things that you can glean from those emails and how you can integrate them in your own marketing, and then observe those things in MailChimp. Look at the reports, look at the open rate, look at the click-through rate, and see what's actually working for your subscribers. For now, that's all we got for you guys today. It looks like we've answered all of your questions. I hope this has been useful for you guys. I know I had a fun time going through this content, and we improved this webinar from the last time we did it, and the next time we do it, we'll also improve it from here. One of the ways that we can do that is when you guys leave the webinar today, fill out our exit survey. Let us know what you think about the webinar and how it went. Was it too fast? Was it too slow? Do you feel like you have stuff to do? You should, because 50% of you said you haven't started sending out emails, and the assignment is for you to send out an email. So hope you guys feel like you've got some good action steps going forward. If you have questions, engage with us on Facebook. Join our Facebook group. Like our Facebook page. Ask questions to us there. Post even email templates and what you're working on, and we can give you guys advice on what's been working with us and what hasn't been working with us in Subscription School. Otherwise, thanks again for coming today. And if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to us at Subscription School or at CreateJoy. We look forward to hearing from you guys. And until the next time I see you, good luck growing those lists and good luck getting more customers. All right, have a good day.